Welcome. We're glad to have you here. Well, it's the Open Group February virtual event, and we've had a great start, covered some great topics, and I love the title of the next one, From Wacky Idea Through Sustained Business Value. So to take us through that, we have Aaron Rorstrom, who is a practicing TOGAF and enterprise architect. He has been a prolific creator of architecture frameworks, methods, and tools spanning each architecture domain and aspect. For example, strategy, segment, business, information, application, integration, technology, security, governance, and sustainability, and sharing those with others through client engagements and experiential training. So today's presentation will focus on the symbiotic and interdependent relationships between enterprise architecture and innovation management. So a very warm welcome back to the Open Group for Aaron Rostrom. Great to see you again, Aaron.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. It's good to be with you all again, and to all of you, thanks for joining today. I know I've met many of you that are on the phone today, so what I'd like just a little bit of about me. Now, Steve shared some of it, so I won't repeat that. But I've been a practicing TOGAF architect, enterprise architect for more than 20 years. And as a prolific creator of tools and methods, I share those things through the work of the great work of the Open Group, but also through with clients and teaching other practicing architects. Now, I've been a longtime contributor to the Open Group activities, been a big supporter, and have helped in many different ways. Currently working on three working groups. One is the TOGAF Innovation Working Group, the Artificial Intelligence Working Group, and the Digital Portfolio Group that Chris talked about earlier. I recently rejoined that group. I've had, after a 25-year career with Capgemini, I've had the privilege of working across dozens of clients over the years. And one thing that seemed to be a consistent theme routinely was the question how to establish and drive ideation and innovation development. Now, there may be a number of reasons why the client asks those questions, but a lot of it tended to be around flexibility, either responding to technology development and advancements, pressures internally or externally, because they're all over the place. Maybe a disruption coming from left field or from center field, from a competitor or new entry. So they've tried responding to those things themselves through different types of innovation management practices. Now, MIT and Gartner Research and many others will tell you, and Chris mentioned this earlier, that most innovations fail. And while there are a number of reasons why that is the case, there is a unique position that architects are in right now to influence having a successful innovation. And so today's focus is the interdependent relationships between innovation management and architecture development. And through this, I'm sharing work of the TOGAF Innovation Working Group, which I'll say more about at the end of the presentation. So let's get started. You know, as architects, we have a unique opportunity to drive innovation. You know, we're like alchemists. We turn innovation and information into gold. Or we're like bridge makers. We're bridging the crevasse or chasm between aspiration and innovation, and between adoption and sustained value. You know, we drive translating inspiration or an improvement opportunity into a harmonious blend of business and technical solutions. And we can also drive the dissemination of the resulting innovation and solution. So that's our opportunity. So what is innovation? At a really high level, innovation is about converting an idea, a novel idea, a simple idea, into value. And that value might be either for business or for the IT or technology, or for a product group, or et cetera. So it could be, it's not just about an innovation doesn't only apply to the business, but it's important that it does apply to the business because you want it to have an effect. Now, the cycle of dissemination or the disseminating an innovation has a natural pattern of stages. And that's what I've tried to represent here, from discovery through institutionalizing the change. And across the stages, the inspiration and respective innovation may prove to be not impactful or may prove to be impactful. But if it's not impactful, it falls off the cycle and gets placed on a backlog, presumably. So what I've tried to represent here is what's called the value trajectory view. And so this is trying to illustrate and to represent the kind of series of stages or steps that an idea, a novel idea or simple idea might go through. Now, for clarity's sake, and this is as we've been working on this in the working group, this is a question typically was something that would come up early on. And so innovation and innovation are not synonymous. I'll repeat that. Invention and innovation are not synonymous. Although an innovation may manifest from an invention, but this may not always be the case, an invention is not required for there to be an innovation. I would suggest thinking that innovation occurs if someone improves or makes a significant contribution to an existing product, process, business model, product or service offering, capability, the service, et cetera. So I think it's useful as we've developed the work in the working group to actually summarize what innovation is that way. Now, innovation, we think of that as a journey. And fundamentally, innovation is about taking a novel idea and imagining and realizing the potential value proposition. Now, as an architect, we need a way to represent that. And so in the working group and through the document that comes out of the working group, we'll talk through a number of things, one of them being the digital opportunity profile, which is a mechanism through where we describe, we qualify, we quantify what the value proposition is. The value proposition is initiated with developing that idea into a solution through a series of iterative cycles, and then transforming the business and or technology based upon impacts from applying the novel idea. So the journey continues if those prove useful, and then apply the new and changed solution either via updating the offerings, product or service offerings, relationship offerings, partnership offerings, or operations. And sustained value realization then occurs by incorporating the changes into what's noted here as business as usual. So if the innovation, the idea and the innovation prove useful and valuable and beneficial, and then we do a proof of concept, or we then modify, we transform, change in some way the business and technology landscape. If that proves effective in that, for a segment or a function or a product area, et cetera, then we need to institutionalize that for sustained value. And so that's when the idea, the resulting solution or solutions expand into become business as usual. Now, through business as usual activities, operational anomalies, new technology introductions, competitive moves or shifts, new regulations, as we're just talking about with the previous speakers, and other things, additional novel ideas are identified, and then the process continues. So the loop that's on the bottom of the visual that's on the screen is representing that capture and an unexpected anomaly, or a new competitive move, an unexpected competitive move. The business needs to develop a sense and respond activity, so that when these things happen, that they have a way to systematically respond to that. Now, to effectively manage the sequence of actions across this journey, a formal innovation activity is needed. And so that is innovation, and think of it as an enterprise activity that facilitates this. So think of the kind of innovation management as this thing. Remember the theme of this work of the working group is to look at the interdependent relationship between innovation management and architecture development. So think of it that way. So what's needed to drive this is a formalized approach to innovation management. And so that I'll try to represent that in this visual. So innovation management, think of it as a multifaceted or iterative process that facilitates opportunity identification, opportunity development, and innovation development. So a series of development sprints, for example, of the business and or technology improvement. And that then drives adoption of the proven impactful innovation development. So through the innovation management, the journey, if something proves not useful or effective, it should fall out. Again, as I said before, go on some backlog, get reconsidered or rejected, just totally rejected. So that, and I'll say a little bit more about that in a bit. And so and then drives the adoption and institutionalization of the management to be incorporated as business as usual. So think that this is what we're thinking about that innovation management is. It's a multifaceted iterative process that ultimately leads to either an idea, a solution being disbanded or not implemented or adopted and becomes business as usual. And as business as usual, the additional opportunities will get identified. Like I intimated before, an operational anomaly, a performance issue, a new or modified digital product, coming back to what Chris was talking about earlier, or a new or modified business model through a joint venture or through an acquisition or through a divestiture, something like that. Or there might be an updated technology landscape or a new and improved way of working. Think how AI is going to disrupt or is already disrupting a lot of the ways that we used to work. And so there are other potential sustained impacts that there might be. Now, it all starts with the idea or the inspiration. And the formalized process for innovation management will guide the idea through an incremental steps or sequences or activities from identification through the resulting solution. Now, the identification might be through a formalized event, an ideation event, innovation event, or through an operational, an observability process that captures an anomaly, recognizes an anomaly, something like that. So I've represented here on this visual, this pattern from idea life cycle stages, from inspiration, or ideation through being considered. Because even in the idea life cycle stage, something may fall out through collaboration as architect with stakeholders, business and technology stakeholders who'd say, we tried that 3 years ago, remember, and for whatever reason or for the following reasons, we decided to disband that. So whatever it is, an idea could in fact fall out and not be considered. It might maybe it's too complex right now, given what's going on in the rest of the company. So it gets put on the backlog. And then the innovation stages from under evaluation to approved or paused or rejected or considered for further evaluation. For those that are approved, a proof of value or solution development takes place that leads to impacting the business as usual. So this is what we've wanted to present as or have developed as the idea life cycle stages and innovation states. Now, fundamentally, innovation is about taking a novel idea through a sequence of steps and imagining and realizing the potential value through that value proposition, initiated with developing the idea into a solution through a series of iterative or development sprints or cycles. Then transforming the business. So think of the thing that's being impacted could be a functional area, could be a segment, supply chain, whatever. Or it could be the business ecosystem, addition of a new partner, or some transformational or change or improvement at the business or enterprise level. And then we want to apply that change that demonstrates sustained value and impact, and that value realization from the intent, the original intent of the idea and the innovation occurs. You get that sustained value by when things get incorporated into business as usual. And again, through business as usual, other opportunities will occur. To effectively manage this process, this formalized process has this, a development as kind of a set of typically multiple development activities. However, does simply achieving the value of an innovation solely revolve around the development effort? To succeed, we need to look beyond execution and development delivery. You need to look beyond that. So if you don't look at the innovation ecosystem, what's being referred to as the innovation ecosystem, of what it takes to bring the innovation to life, you can limit your chances of success. And to summarize the research of Dr. Ron Adner of the Dartmouth College, avoid over-investing in execution and instead invest in co-innovation and adoption tactics. I love this quote from the CEO of Amgen, and he got this idea of innovation ecosystems, and he says, success today, you've got to figure this out. You got to be a master of that. So architects can help with the detailing of the innovation ecosystem. So I want to talk about that. So the opportunity for the architects is to assure that the blueprint of actors and the relationships among them that make up the innovation ecosystem are well understood, and that the actors are engaged to drive the innovation. Because think of the ecosystem, again, it's an end-to-end view. It's not just upfront, it's not just about the idea, it's an end-to-end view through adoption and through to where things become business as usual. The architects, we're really good at breaking down things, we're at sequencing things, orchestrating things. And we have to recognize that innovations, big and small, require that different pieces come together at the right time and in the right sequence. And this sort of orchestrating is something that we're really good at as architects. The challenge is, though, the different things required to bring the innovation to life and be successful often have different levels of complexity and require different amounts of time for those to occur. And so what we're saying is what architects need to do is we need to look for the hidden traps. And so we do that through another thing that we're really good is to do that by having a wide lens view. Now, we're good at looking end to end, not just what's in front of us. We look left, we look right. No, we're really good at maintaining a wide lens. And so we do. So as architects, that's the opportunity that one of the many ways that as architects we bring value to the innovation management, innovation realization process. So what does that look like? What that means is that we're looking at co-innovation opportunities. Who else needs to be involved in innovation early on? If the innovation proves that it's going to be successful and has value, what are all the parties that need to be in place to bring that to life? To put that into a function and improve that. We also look at execution focus. What does it take to deliver the right innovation on time to spec and beat the competition and have the performance be what it needs to be, as well as look at the adoption chain. So what the adoption chain it is about is it's not only about the technical elements of an innovation. You got to look at all the different things to think about. For example, the Apple Store and what it actually, that was a very creative idea. There are other examples of this across the industry, but what it really took to bring that to life was not simply have a store where you can buy Apple apps, and software, et cetera. It was to integrate the developer ecosystem, all the companies that do these really amazing things with software, give them a way to actually showcase and sell and distribute and disseminate their apps to those of us that are users. So the adoption chain is a view that we believe architects need to contribute to, which is looking at what does that adoption chain, what are the different elements of that adoption chain. Through these three different perspectives in our wide lens, we can mitigate risk and co-innovation and mitigate risk around development, also mitigate risks around adoption. So all this to facilitate the move of a novel idea through the journey until it becomes a proven change. Now, innovation, and so the other sort of thesis or theme in this presentation and the work of the working group is we're looking at the kind of the complementary nature and relationship of innovation and innovation management with architecture and architecture development. And so the way we think of it, they're complementary streams of activity that have different value propositions. And so, for example, the value proposition for innovation management is it fosters creativity. It drives change across one or more value streams, facilitates remaining competitive within a business environment. The value proposition of the architecture development element is enabling organizations to identify improvement areas and innovation opportunities and facilitate moving an idea to a realized value and achieved improvement. So we believe that these two really important enterprise activities are complementary, and that they have different value propositions, and they influence each other in different ways. So let's look at that. So again, we believe these two activities are complementary, and they rely on a different and utilize a different set of elements, and are informed by the elements created by the other activity. So in architecture development, when architects are doing their analysis and developing a solution, we don't ignore all the stuff that the business has done. That's a key part of what we did, and the same sort of idea works here. We won't ignore all the things that the innovation management process has demonstrated, like the value proposition element, for example. And so each activity influences the other activity in different ways. And so we're trying to represent that in the chevrons in the middle. So in some cases it informs, in some cases it constrains, in some cases it expands, in some cases it updates, etc. So we think that this is an important relationship that architects need to be two things: recognize and acknowledge, and be front and center to drive, to facilitate this intersection between these two things. So in the end, I've said this a couple of times already, but we think that architects have many opportunities to identify, to qualify, to quantify, to evaluate, to facilitate, and develop improvement opportunities for a business area improvement, or a kind of a business related improvement, or on the technology or technical side, or in the data side, or even on the AI side, where on the technology side, AI, the way it's being used right now, as you all know, there's a business angle and there's a technology angle. And so this is another way it's an opportunity to recognize and potential improvement area. And we've witnessed that over the past year or two. We'll witness more of that. But what I want to talk about next are the potential different ways that architects can play. So across this, so architects, we need to be advocates of the business. So around opportunity development, we need to look at this as advocates of the business. We need to seek and sense and feel where there might be an opportunity. Or we need to qualify an idea to make sure we're in collaboration with stakeholders, to qualify that an idea actually makes sense and in fact could lead to an improvement. To evaluate or to develop a value proposition for that idea, again, through something like a digital opportunity profile or other mechanisms, which we'll talk about in the group. And then through that, then quantify the digital opportunity. And then lead the pitch of the innovative idea or the innovation-driven solution to leaders. This is something that over the years I trained architects how to use storytelling as a way to drive their pitch, to inform and to make their pitch really stick. And so this is another way I think that architects have an opportunity to contribute and participate. And innovation development, to identify the required pieces. It takes a lot of things to move and take an idea, and it's this kind of wacky idea, into a developed solution, and take that developed solution to where it's to proof of concept, and then to take that into realization of institutionalizing that idea into the business. So there are a lot of pieces, and so we need to identify those pieces and the required sequence that those pieces need to be completed by. And through that, then detail the innovation ecosystem and to facilitate the alliance building relationships with the parties that are part of the ecosystem. And then define or design the solution architecture, all the different pieces that need to come together. What does that solution look like? And then drive solution development. And then to define the business and technical aspects of this idea and the resulting solution, so that it can in fact have an opportunity, can in fact become integrated into business as usual. And then around the adoption, so refine the adoption, refine the innovation ecosystem to over-communicate with stakeholders regarding the ecosystem of potential impacts and what the adoption chain is comprised of. Engage early on with those alliance parties that are part of the ecosystem and need to be key in the adoption chain. And then transform design and change management plans into realizable output or impact. So we think that these are the different ways, among others probably, that architects can have an impact and influence across the innovation management cycle through integrating architecture development mechanisms and ways of working that we do really well across the innovation management process and the life cycle. So let's talk about the ADM. So TOGAF ADM is a mechanism for those of us that are practicing architects, TOGAF architects we're really familiar with, and we rely on it. Whether I'm a business architect or a strategy architect, the preliminary phase A and phase B are really important. For those of us that are solution architects, data architects, etc., B, C, and D are really important, regardless. So the point is that depending on what architect role that we have at the time, the phase of TOGAF ADM might be more interesting or more relevant to us. So what we're trying to represent here is where does the innovation management piece fit with or integrate with, and how does it align with the TOGAF ADM phases? So if we look at the kind of the map on the lower left-hand side, the kind of what's representing the innovation journey, an idea, from an idea to design. This is where this really aligns with phases A, B, C, D, and E. And then the innovation adoption and facilitating implementation, that aligns with E, F, G, and H. So this is one particular view that we've created that actually speaks to the relationship between innovation management and the innovation management activities to architecture development, or more specifically, the TOGAF ADM. Now, I mentioned that this work that I'm sharing and other work that had shared previously is work of the TOGAF Innovation Working Group. And if you're interested in these topics, because remember, our primary objective right now is looking at the interdependent relationships between innovation management and architecture development. If you're interested in these topics, consider joining the Innovation Working Group. If you're interested, contact either Daniel Hutley or Andrew Davies of the Open Group. They can get you connected to the group. We meet on Monday. We meet every other Monday, and you can access the schedule in the Plato site. We have, as other working groups, have a dedicated Plato site for the work, and hope to see many of you and hear many of you there. So, yeah, thanks for being here today. Enjoy the rest of today's event. Back to you, Steve.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for sharing the thinking behind the concept and what's going on in the working group. It's interesting stuff to take it right the way through. And there's a comment in the chat about liking the mapping of the innovation to the ADM and the innovation cycle with the ADM cycle, all of these good things. So clearly on the right path. Great question came in, which contains a quote from Einstein, who we should probably take notice of in these things. If I were given 1 hour to save the planet, I would spend 59 minutes defining the problem and 1 minute solving it.
Yep.
So where do you see, the question is, where do you see the gaps in the skill of problem defining that result into a truly powerful value proposition to begin with?
Yeah, so this idea of jumping to a solution straight away is a tendency that's out there on the IT side as well as on the business side. And without that formalized thinking, kind of systematically going through and demonstrating the proof of value, that's one of the key elements of the innovation management sort of concept or idea. So the gap is, I think, the fact that many of us want to jump to a solution. Someone showed us a really cool idea yesterday. Now we want to use that cool idea today here. But oftentimes, as we know, it doesn't prove out effective or impactful or perhaps even not useful. And so that's the fundamental gap. I think that the idea of having this before you get to solutioning something, have this set of activities that are articulated in the idea life cycle and the innovation stages, and for those of us that are architects, rely on the activities and the artifacts that are defined in the early phases of the ADM. Those are useful mechanisms for us to apply and to teach others to use. So I hope that answered the question.
Thank you. And there's a question has come in that hopefully my colleagues can answer. I think it may have been at the very last slide, but can we share the email IDs to request membership for the working group? So we can take care of that separately. One time for one more question, and it's around funding. Funding in terms of who pays can be an issue with innovation. Do you think this is a topic to address?
It is. And so that's a topic that's identified, later. But yeah. So one of the ideas that we have is the innovation the innovation infrastructure, and a key part of that is up front is the budgeting and costing and et cetera, all that, which is going to allow the rest of it to take place. So when we share as the innovation infrastructure develops, that concept develops, the budgeting and the cost and the shared responsibility for those is addressed. It's not an easy thing to answer, as you can imagine. But if you can identify specific value propositions where this thing is going to have an impact, then it's easier to develop a story or a request for funding from these three departments, but not these two departments, because it's going to have a minimal impact over here. It's going to have huge impact on these three over here. And so through the value proposition, the digital opportunity profile, then that's how you get to that specificity.
Absolutely, yeah. They need to see the value to stump up the funding. Yeah.
I think the other sorry to cut you off, Steve, this is where the over communication with stakeholders is really important, and that's early on, because you want to do this you want to develop this value proposition in partnership with them, so when you come back with your pitch to I need money for this, and then I'm going to need money for this, they already understand why you're coming to them, and you don't have to really fight hard to get that. That's another key piece of that, and that's why we call that out specifically.
Right, absolutely.
Thanks,
that communication word again in the architecture sense, it's so important. Aaron, thank you very much for sharing what's going on, and great to see you again. And good luck with the work.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.